So an emotional reaction from you is what they're seeking. They are seeking to harm you. They are seeking to throw you off in a balance. And a lot of times in these tense situations where crisis communications happen, people want to have, they think emotionally. Logic really takes a backseat and the peak of a crisis, it's just more emotional. And that at that point is when you have to, really tame your emotions and think logically, and logically is speaking little, speaking less.
You're listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
And welcome. You are listening to and watching the Financial Survival Network. I'm your host, Kerry Lutz. Well, a lot of people need to do a lot of damage control today after the results, the outcome of the election. A lot of reputations have been damaged. A lot of people who you once looked up to, maybe you aren't doing it so much. Well, you know what? If you own a company, you can have the same kind of issues strike you. False rumors, false allegations, stories that come out of nowhere and just wind up on the internet and get taken as fact. And in that case, you're probably going to want to call in somebody like Ryan McCormick. Ryan, you're a media relations specialist, co-founder of Goldman McCormick, answering these kind of things, handling these situations, crisis management. That's kind of in your blood, isn't it?
Yes, it is in my blood. And Kerry, it's a great honor to be with you. I really do love your show, and I've been listening to you for a number of years. So it is a honor to be with you today.
Well, thank you for that. Appreciate it. And so tell us, how do these things happen? We know from certain political leaders, there's a thing called a wrap-up smear where they leak a rumor and then they get the media to ask them about the rumor, and then they quote the source of the rumor on social media, wherever it came from. It's so easy to ruin somebody's reputation, to ruin your reputation with social media and zillions of outlets to spew your garbage.
Absolutely. That's why crisis communication is so important. It's always strong for every company to have a crisis communications plan in place, because when a rumor starts, the longer it goes uncontested and not refuted, the more damage it's going to do, especially if it is a allegation that is emotionally provocative. If you have a high-level individual within your company that has been accused of misconduct, and that misconduct particularly focuses on sexual assault or any allegations of racism, and that does not go challenged, that could be detrimental. Reputations can be ruined really quickly unless you have a strong response. And Kerry, one thing I always recommend to people is, on top of responding right away, you want to make sure that you have your legal team on par with you, because usually utilizing an attorney is something that could really bring a lot more credibility to be refuting those rumors, and also make those individuals who have started those rumors, hey, there are consequences. There are consequences for libel. So it's very important, I guess, for all companies to have a legal team, but to have a crisis communications plan in place, because a false rumor could cause thousands of people to leave your company, to leave negative reviews. You can get bombarded with negative reviews on Google, and then you can also have your company stock drop. So misinformation is a pretty important thing to be aware of, and I recommend all companies be very vigilant about that.
Couldn't agree with you more. I've seen it before. Give us an example of some instances where you had this type of thing happen and how you responded.
Well, one of my previous clients was a professional athlete, and there were allegations that he had assaulted an individual. The allegations were completely false, but the allegations themselves got this individual banned from various competitive agencies, and his reputation was under attack. So by refuting it, by coming out, by issuing statements, by also utilizing an attorney, we were able to turn things around. Now, the allegation itself will probably, some people will, it'll forever be ingrained in people's minds that, they'll always assume they won't even do their own research. And that's actually something that's really prevalent in our society, is that people hear something, they don't research it at all. Most of the stuff that people hear, they hear from rumors, and they don't do their own time to research it, because whatever, we live in an overly distracted society. But that was one instance where we came right through and we were able to turn things around. Another individual, his name was Nick Hillary. He was a father of 5 wrongly accused of murder. HBO did a 2-part series about him called Who Killed Garrett Phillips. And this accusation that he killed this boy had caused such a major rift in the town. And there were a lot of false rumors that were out there, and it was just absolutely horrible. He was finally exonerated, but without counterbalancing, without standing up and speaking out to false rumors, the people make a terrible mistake that forever burns your reputation. And I know, Kerry, there's some people that talk about PR. A lot of it is spin. You want to change, but I don't believe that at all. I think you should be truthful. You should let the truth come out, but in your response, don't get over emotional, or don't let emotion cloud your response. Your response should be very direct, precise, and minimal, because everything you say in a crisis can be used against you. Same way if you're over by a police officer. Anything you say can be used against you. Anything you say in the midst of a crisis can be utilized not only by the people who are perpetuating the rumor, by the media, but by also a legal team on the other side. So you want to be very particular with your responses, keep them direct and short.
That reminds me of the John Benet Ramsey case, where they didn't have damage control in place. The kid goes missing, winds up found dead in Colorado Springs. The police do a botched job, and they just accuse the parents, and they overlook all the evidence that pointed to a third party. And these people were ruined for years, and they never got to the bottom of the crime. They never found the killer, the real killer. And these people were ruined for, the woman, the mother went to her grave being suspected as a child murderer. Imagine if they had your representation, how things might have turned out.
We would have gone after and done daily press conferences and answered things and put things out. It's really terrible. And I also think about Richard Jewell. I think the security guard in 1996. Everyone assumed that he was a killer, and it was horrible. It's really weird in our culture, Kerry, is that people just get so infatuated with the emotional response that it's kind of like an addiction. We always hear how smartphones are changing our brains, that they give us a complete dopamine response, a dopamine hit. And it get this sense that people get a dopamine hit out of responding emotionally to stimuli. And if you seek the truth, you don't get the same, dopamine boost from this. It seems that people are hardwired or seek pleasure out of emotional reacting to certain things. So it's a strange period of time, but it would be wonderful if we were culture maybe was a little slowed down, and people took the time to research and to actually do their due diligence about what the truth is in a lot of cases.
Yeah, exactly. And, even though nobody believes the media anymore, still, when they say something, unless it's refuted, you're guilty until proven innocent, aren't you?
Absolutely. And even if you're found innocent, once something is out, once an accusation is made, you're never going to be able to come back from that. It could take some periods of time. One thing it's actually really beneficial about our culture, Kerry, is that we live in an overly distracted society where if something really negative happens, most likely something else will happen that will counterbalance that. There will always be periods of time where another story will come out to supersede whatever controversy you're in. And I consider it to be a very positive thing. If you are having a crisis and it's a slow news week or slow news month, that's when it gets really bad.
Yeah, God forbid. Yeah, scary, really scary. But so, one of the things is how do you prevent something like this happening? One thing to respond to it, but what are the signs that you're being set up for this?
Signs that you're being set up, I would say it's very hard to tell, but if you have disgruntled employees, if you have people that have, you follow your gut with this too, you can kind of get a gut feeling as to who's maybe plotting against you. But it's kind of hard because you may see a rumor that gets started on social media, and that rumor starts, and you see anonymous accounts perpetuating the same misinformation. That could be an indication that something far worse. One thing I always try to do is I always try to treat everyone with respect. I try to give people as many reasons not to have a negative relationship. I think if you're really good, you treat your employees well and treat everyone around you good, you minimize your chances. You can't prevent something like this 100%, but if you do have a crisis communications plan in place and a protocol and something like this happens, you minimize the damage. And also, can't state this enough, I've said it before, but have a legal team that's completely engaged with something like this, because if a rumor gets started and you and your company find yourself in a very tough situation, utilizing a strong attorney to help you pound your efforts can be very effective. And not only making things go away, but also getting due restitution for the instigator of something like that.
Yeah, like how do you go after somebody who's really slandered you, defamed you, and really injured your business? A lot of times they aren't well-heeled people, right, with lots of assets.
And that's something that an attorney we're really focusing on. But I would not give somebody who's attacking you, give them more fuel. So an emotional reaction from you is what they're seeking. They are seeking to harm you. They are seeking to throw you off in a balance. And a lot of times in these tense situations where crisis communications happen, people want to have, they think emotionally. Logic really takes a back seat at the peak of a crisis. It's more emotional. And that at that point is when you have to, really tame your emotions and think logically. And logically is speaking little, speaking less, and only offering a response that can counterbalance whatever can be out there in terms of what you can discuss with your lawyer. So emotional responses I highly do not recommend. But if somebody out there is going after you, I would say make sure you have a good legal team out there, because usually with a strong attorney, they can do things to either stop the person from doing it, or you can actually seek restitution, especially if they've defamed you, if they've defamed your company.
Mm-hmm. So, even something as basic as like Google reviews or Yelp reviews, they really kind of open themselves up for this type of thing. Like, hey, I was at this restaurant, great restaurant, eaten there so many times, and I found a cockroach in my food, right? That could start a whole pile-on thing, especially if it's orchestrated and you get 5 different reviews saying, yeah, I was in the bathroom, the place is a filthy pit. And it goes on and on. And, businesses in the public eye are really susceptible to this type of malicious attack, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. And it's really sad. And when it comes to Google reviews, sometimes people are allowed to write reviews anonymously, and it's pretty bad. So when a situation like that happens, some people may want to just remove their Google business. They just might want to take it off Google in general, and they can put it on other places. They can put it on Yelp. They can put it on other platforms. When something like that happens, especially in a restaurant, it's kind of hard to counterbalance that. If you do find yourself in that situation, you can also ask all of your customers that you really respect and had a great time with you to write 5-star reviews. Matter of fact, say that if you're in a business and you're keeping your customers very happy, ask for those 5-star reviews on a consistent basis. My understanding is that for every negative review, there needs to be 10 positive reviews to counterbalance a negative review. And a lot of people look for negative reviews first. I mean, when I look to buy a product, Gary, the first thing I do is I look for the negative reviews. I look to see the most recent, the most negative reviews. I want to find out why somebody didn't have a good experience. So,
you're on Amazon. That's the first thing you're going to do. Right?
Yeah.
Is do that. So, it's kind of scary that all this is happening, but there is hope. Like doctor's offices, you might get a recommendation for a specialist, but it's your body you're dealing with. And the first thing you're going to do is look at the reviews. And you have to take them with a grain also, because people are often, they go into the doctor emotionally charged. They're looking for a certain answer and the doctor doesn't give it to them. And then they're dissatisfied, right? So, reputation management is kind of what we're talking about here. And somehow you've got to try to get out ahead of this, don't you?
You have to do it. And also, when you have those negative reviews on Google, it's very good to respond in a very professional, warm manner. So even TripAdvisor is another one where I think it's great when you see hotels, especially that have get negative reviews, and that the general manager will respond and address these accordingly. Because even if the person does see a negative review, if they know that the establishment, the company really does care, and they're taking the time to respond to those negative reviews, especially every time with fashion, I think it's a very positive reflection. Because it gives, the person who's reading that review may see their response and give the hotel or whatever business the benefit of the doubt. So it's constant engagement, constant vigilance, whether it be Google reviews, also protecting your profession, your business online on social media. So one of the quickest ways you learn how a crisis emerges is if it's getting retweeted, if you're seeing it, kind of being shared on social media. That's one of the quickest ways. So if you find yourself in a crisis and you people are spreading rumors, but then those rumors are not getting retweeted, and there's kind of a waning interest in it, I'd say that's a good sign. But if you're seeing negative rumors about your company and then they're getting retweeted, and then you're getting negative reviews, then you know things are getting out of control or getting bigger. And that's when you have to really take a heavy-handed approach. When I say heavy-handed, that doesn't mean you go after the person and threaten them, or you be really negative. It just means you utilize every resource at your disposal to counterbalance and put things out. Also, if you've had some negative reviews about your company and there have been negative accusations about your company, it's imperative that you come out and you speak truthfully, that they refute all of them, but also do positive PR about your company, right? Positive press releases. Yeah. Put things out where you extol your virtues. And if you put that out there, it's kind of like taking water to a stain. Enough water will diminish that stain.
Mm-hmm. No, I couldn't agree with you more. Hey, people want to find out more about what you're doing, how you can help in reputation management and restoration. How do they find you?
Well, they can go to goldmanmccormick.com, GoldmanMcCormick.com. We're ranked by Forbes magazine as one of America's best PR firms. And if you reach out to us and say you're a friend of Carrie, we'll definitely take care of you. We take care of all the people we work with, and anyone who listens to Carrie's show, we definitely would love to work with you.
Yeah. And hey, I can see the application of your service, even if you're not getting hit by attacks, but your online reputation isn't as good as you would like it to be. And that will cost you business, especially if you're a professional. You get a bad review, you're a professional, and that's going to sting your business.
And it's going to sting your business. And Carrie, can I give your listeners one quick piece of advice when it comes to reputation?
Absolutely.
We're learning, we were talking about this before, there are a number of celebrities that came out, celebrity CEOs that came out in the election, they threw their lot into one particular candidate. Well, because they've done that, they've alienated a number of potential customers.
50%, 53%, right?
Yeah, so I would say if you're a CEO or a person, don't share your political views. I mean, you can just focus on what you do great. Focus on your company. Focus on providing excellent service to others. Don't share your political views. You're not going to, you'll basically sing to the choir of people that feel like-minded, but you'll alienate other people. So I would say going forward, don't share your political views. That is probably one of the biggest preventative ways to not provoke people.
Common sense.
Quiet. Yeah.
Common sense. Like religion, gentlemen never speak of religion and politics, because now nobody cares about religion, but maybe politics is taking the place of religion for a lot of you out there, or a lot of the public. And, I think, what? You just use one rule. When in doubt, shut your mouth, right? You'll stay out of a lot of trouble that way. Such has been my experience.
Well, I do, especially I'd say that's a great rule for marriage too. I always find that, the less they talk about, the less my wife can respond to. It's
didn't work so good for me because I just could never keep my mouth shut. But that's my own character flaw there that I'm trying to deal with here. But hey, you'll find a link to Ryan's site in the show notes to this interview on financialsurvivalnetwork.com. I think this information, Ryan, is so useful because an ounce of prevention worth a pound of cure. If you do fall victim, you do have ways to fight it and to fight back. So you need to be aware of it. If you've got a question for Ryan or myself, shoot me an email, kl@kerrylutz.com. And while you're on the site, financialsurvivalnetwork.com, please sign up for your free newsletter. Ryan, pleasure. Talk to you again real soon. Be well.
Thank you, Gary. Great honor.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.